It's worth finding that out.
99% of them have luxury.
Do you think?
Oh, most definitely. Like, I mean, I'm looking at, I do a bit of taxi driving there now, and I look at a village here just out, not too far away from me, and every one of them have top-of-the-range SUVs, the whole lot. They have a mobile there that comes into them. They have free taxis if such is the life, because they ring me when they're looking for a lift to Dublin Airport, and she wanted a receipt off of me so that she can claim her money back.
And
actually, the same.
Is that a fact? Is that a fact that you can get a taxi service and claim your money back? Is that factual?
Yes, she looks for a receipt off of me so that she can claim her money back. And she also asked me to keep my mouth shut, in the sense of she was going over to Ukraine for a couple of days to bring her sister over, which at the time she was not allowed to leave her own bed overnight because she would lose her accommodation.
So she asked you to keep quiet about the journey.
Yeah, that she wasn't even in the country. And yes, the government brought in that they have to stay in their own bed or to lose their accommodation.
What are you hearing in the taxi? What are people talking about? What are the main points?
Very, 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 very bitter towards the Ukrainians and all that now. And in the very beginning, everybody was very sympathetic. Everybody was all for him, arms out, welcoming him in, the whole lot. Now when you see all these men walking on the streets, everything, the whole lot, why are they there? If they're so proud of their country, why aren't they fighting for the country? Like, their country is a massive country. They don't have to come to Ireland. They can go to other parts. It's just very same as happened above in the north of Ireland. People down in Kerry didn't emigrate, and like that. It's the same principle.
And what about when people make the point to you then that, well, the Irish went abroad to seek their fortune and...
but the Irish didn't get any handouts.
Yeah. Does that annoy you? Does that annoy you when you hear that argument?
It does. I mean, it annoys me in the sense of they walk over here and they're walking all over us when they come over here. They're handed houses, they're handed mobile phones, they're handed cars, handed free transport, free everything, free medical care, the whole lot. We are working on everything all our lives, paying taxes. We don't get anything. And if we look for something, the rigmarole we have to go through to even get what we're actually entitled to is unreal. And they just walk in, get it, and walk out.
But the government are making the point that this is an extreme situation. There's war going on.
It's not extreme, no. There's not a war going on over there. There's only a war going on in a tiny little corner of the country. The same as what happened above in Dublin, or above in Belfast. There's only a small war went on above in Belfast. It didn't affect the Republic of Ireland. The war over there doesn't affect the majority of Ukraine.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Brian, that I would describe what went on in Northern Ireland as a small.
It's only a comparison. I'm trying to give you an example of a comparison. That's all it is. Like I said, the war went on above in Belfast. It didn't affect people down in Kerry. Like the war going on in Ukraine, and yet they're still able to have soccer matches and Eurovisions and all of that. People are able to go. Still, the country's still open for holiday makers. So it is not as bad as they're making out. People are just jumping on the bandwagon, go to Ireland, it's a free country, you have free living, everything is free.
And what are you making?
What are you making? What are you making? No men whatsoever.
What are you making of what's been happening with the open border between Northern Ireland and the South, and 80% of applicants are now coming through that border?
Well, they should be. Every one of them should be just turned around and put back on the bus and go back to where you came from. Every single one, no exceptions.
And not to be interviewed, or not to hear their case.
Not just gathered up, turned around. Nothing. You try to jump the border of Mexico into the USA, see what happens. You try to jump the border any other country in the world, see what happens. Why should Ireland be any exception? Like, you cannot get on an airplane anywhere in the world without a passport. But yet they seem to lose the passports on the plane when they come over to Ireland.
And the people who would argue that, the Geneva Convention and various different...
The Geneva Convention, well, what about the Irish people?
Yeah.
In the constitution of this country, it was supposed to be for homes for every single Irish person. The government are not actually carrying out...
That's not actually in the constitution, that there should be homes for Irish people.
Well, they're supposed to look after the Irish people, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they're not doing their constitutional job. So the government should be actually arrested and charged for that, for not doing their constitutional work.
And, I mean, when it comes time to vote, and I'm not asking you who you're voting for, but, will you vote for change in some way? And if you are, like, what kind of change?
The entire country is going to vote for change. The entire country is totally pissed off of, like, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. There's no they're not different parties anymore. They're just one party, different banner.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, they have sought out this country, something serious. And they're gone so bad they don't even give a damn about it. And like, they actually know themselves they're not going to be re-elected this time. And that is why Micheál Martin is leaving the borders open just to flood the country. He's going to turn around to blame everything then on the next party, which probably will be Sinn Féin when they get in. The blame's always he caused all of this, we can fix it with he caused. That's what he's doing.
All right, and what you're saying to me, because it's an interesting job, a taxi driver, because you hear from so many different people. But you're hearing this is the sort of thing you're hearing in your cab. Is that it, Brian?
It is, yeah.
All right. And
every single day, people are gone very, very bitter.
And are these like, ordinary people? These aren't people you would describe as being right wing. You wouldn't describe them as being right wing or particularly political.
Just the ordinary farmer, the ordinary housewife, the ordinary office worker, all that. They're gone very bitter. And like when you hear the place being burned down because of the Ukrainians and the foreigners going in, the people are saying this, thank God.
My God.
You know what I mean? The people are gone very bitter because they're taking way too much advantage of it.
All right. Brian, good to talk to you today, and thanks very much indeed for your time. That's Brian. That's what he's hearing in his cab. What do you make of that? 1800